But just in general, you shouldn't need it every day, and you should be able to wake up, pretty sharp without.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah!
I was using, have you heard of Moulin?
Yeah,
extract?
I have that in my refrigerator. Yep, the little
Okay,
green
so
drops,
I have that. So I started with,
I don't feel like it worked for me.
I don't think so either. So like, okay, this is what I'll say. So this is dryness in my throat, but before I would have that extra and you couldn't just get it up basically.
Right.
And I came across the information of Moulin extract because, I used to be a smoker a long time ago. And I thought, oh, if it helps clear up anything residual that's in my lungs, like why not? So I started using it, and I did notice that my extra phlegm kind of like dissipated.
Okay, listen.
But then, I traveled back, I didn't have any, and then I noticed that it came back kind of, but then I noticed like now my throat's dry. So I don't know if it's like because of that.
I don't think so, because I was using that. I used that about a year ago. I still have 2 bottles in my refrigerator. I bought 4. I went through 2 bottles. In my head, I liked it at the time. I was telling myself this is good for me. It's all herbal. It's, the whole thing. It might have had some good health,
Benefits.
Implications. Yeah. But, when I stopped using it, I went through the 2 bottles and I had the other 2, and I just got on the road a little bit, so I didn't bring one with me. And I fell off using it. And I was kind of like, I don't really think it did anything, because I'm not feeling a
Massive difference.
When you're taking a supplement, it's a slow, and you get to a point, you don't even realize you got there, right? You just feel better. But if you stop taking it, you should feel a drop off, within a week or so, like your body's, craving for something. I use a supplement brand called RHO supplements. I stumbled onto them, and I started taking the NAD plus, which is the cellular regeneration, glutathione. They have a creatine supplement, which I just got. I take their, D12 and K3, and they're liquid forms, right? So you just put like a teaspoon or a little bit more if you feel you need it, into like a little shot glass of water. You can mix them all together and do them all in one shot. You don't have to take one after another. So I just do that in the morning, put my drops into the water, take that. And when I did stop using it for a couple weeks because I'd run out on the road, I felt it. I felt my energy level drop. I'm back on it, so I'm super like I got a lot of energy right now, and always looking for more, right? Like what else can I do? I just feel good every day. And the other thing that goes hand in hand is I don't really drink.
Right. No, 100%. I don't drink next to at all anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty much
which really does change your whole biochemistry.
For sure.
The supplements, it's funny that we should start talking about this. Excuse me.
We have an agenda, but we're gonna
but we're gonna just, like you said, just off the cuff.
Free flow, yeah, man.
So I take an abundance of different supplements, being 47. I want to live longer. I want to live healthier. I want to be able to be there for children when I have them.
This year, so it's the same.
Yeah. And I notice, like, you only get the information that you go and suss out, right?
Sure.
So like I get a lot of it through the scrolling of TikTok and all these different new extracts and things. And I'm slowly kind of like looking at like, okay, like how many of these things are actually doing something for me? Because I take probably about, I want to say around 15 different pills, supplements, because some of them are 2-a-days. So it's like ashwagandha. I take that, like it's 2 capsules. And I even got on the Alpha Brain.
I did.
What do you think? Yeah, no, I'm almost done the first month.
Love Joe Rogan. He promotes it, but
I don't
think maybe it works for him and the way his body is and what he does daily physically. But for me, I just didn't find it like giving me any
difference at all,
cognizance or anything. Yeah.
Now the thing that I have jumped on, we'll get back to the supplements in a second. And by no means is anything that we're talking about today have we been sponsored by at all. This is just 2 guys talking about the supplements that they take currently to live healthier. I started taking the Neuro Gum. Have you heard of that?
No.
The 2, I think it's 2 brothers or cousins that went on Shark Tank a while ago. Shark Tank kind of laughed them off, and they're like, I want to say like a multi-million-dollar company now. It's the idea behind it is kind of that like pill from Limitless, you know, like you chew
Yeah, I
this
love
and you
it.
become all of a sudden super smart, not super smart, but you have more focus.
I read the book, didn't see the movie.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I think there's only like a couple ingredients in this gum. One of them is the L-theanine, which is like that natural caffeine that's supposed to give you the up but not the crash that coffee does.
Right.
And so I've given up coffee.
Okay.
You know, I used to drink a pot every morning for years.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me. I'm heavy on coffee, but I'm less now than I ever was. But yeah,
I have not had. So third week of September, I stopped drinking coffee. There was one afternoon, I want to say late December, early January, that a coworker made like a iced coffee, and I had 2 sips of it, and right away it like obviously affected me instantly.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nope, no, thank you, and I threw it out.
You know, I was taking a supplement called Purium. It's a vegan supplement, and I really loved it. And for a few years, I actually was like doing some of the sales with them. This is 10, 15 years ago. I stopped doing that. You know, I couldn't find the network for people that wanted that, you know, at that point in time. I still take it, and they do a 10-day cleanse, which I'm probably going to do in March. And I try to do it once, maybe twice a year. I love it. And it's a no coffee. Like you take 5 days to wean off of like no meat this day, no dairy the next day, you know, the day after that. You want to wean off of everything, right? Last one for me was coffee. And then you go 10 days on their supplements. And I always feel amazing after it. And then I start, you know, sipping on my coffee again. Back in the day, it used to be, I would wake up and I would have easily 8 shots of espresso and a cup of coffee before 10 a.m. Easily. And then I'm drinking it through the evening, right? Up to like 5 p.m. I don't think it ever affected my sleep. I've always slept very well, right? But it did during the day. You would feel that like
Crash.
Yeah, like you're trying to do office work. You're not in the kitchen, high energy, and you're sitting there and you just want to take a nap, right? I have tried the mushroom coffees that they call.
Yeah, I've tried them.
Yeah, and I don't feel any
Nope.
any help from those, and honestly, the flavor is not what I'm looking for
At all.
So now I'm down to like, you know, this will be my second cup today. I was up at 6:30, got myself going, had a cup when I was doing some meetings this morning, and I poured a cup to come here, and that'll be it for today. There are some days I go without coffee. I know that drinking coffee, the part of that Purium program is they specify coffee or anything with caffeine in it that you want to avoid, because the goal of that product is to reset your metabolism. And coffee tricks your mind and your body thinking that, you know, there's like when you go out in the sun, your body actually triggers its own systems as far as like, this has to happen, this has to happen. When you go to rest at night, it stops doing certain things because it's dark out. That's how your body knows. Coffee will trick that. It will give you that boost of energy. Now it's telling your body you don't need these things that come natural, right? And then you go into a crash, and now it's searching for those things, and then you're back up again, and it's just all over the place. So they want you off of coffee. And actually, the Purium company recommends to get off of coffee and stay off of coffee, right? Enjoy it. Maybe if you're on a vacation, have a cappuccino with your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever. But just in general, you shouldn't need it every day, and you should be able to wake up, you know, pretty sharp without coffee. Like, I was in that mindset in my 30s, you know, 20 years ago of like, I need my coffee. I got to get that boost of energy, you know. And then all of a sudden, all these energy drinks started coming out, and I've sampled them. I've never been a fan of energy. I don't like how they taste, to be honest with you. Even the Red Bulls that are more common. But it's the same, but those rip up your gut, you know, those destroy you. So that spike of energy is just worthless to me, you know. It's
unfortunate, like a lot of stuff in our world, our society, is that anything that has really good marketing, most of us fall into the idea of it's cool, so I should have this all the time. Red Bull's a massive company, sponsors things like X Games and really cool sports, and like you see all these. Yep. I mean, getting that Red Bull helmet is such a big thing in that society, in that community of people. And energy drinks, absolutely not. I cannot, will not. I think they're disgusting. It doesn't take a genius to know that they're not good for you. Yeah. I don't like. I can't see how they could be. Yeah. Mud water was the one that first came out for me. That was like really big, and I had to search for a place when it first came out here in South Florida that I could find it, which was like up north in Jupiter. Mm-hmm. Drove all the way out to this place and bought the whole kit to get going with it, because I wanted to wean myself off of coffee. And, when Sushi and I would go for our walks in the early mornings, like, before the sun comes up, I would make this mud coffee, and I honestly felt like I was just drinking water, and it didn't dissolve. So you get that sandiness, and like I thought it was like did not last whatsoever. But the Neuro Gum for me, and of course I'm always thinking about what's going to happen later on because of it, because anything that comes out that seems so awesome, you just know that there's going to be something.
There's a repercussion.
Well, there's always there's a positive, negative with absolutely everything we do. So the first time I had one of these pieces of gum from Neuro Gum, like the first time you do anything, you're like, holy shit.
Really?
Oh my Lord. Like for me personally, like whatever that is, whatever those ingredients are, as soon as it got into my saliva, into my bloodstream, and like hit my senses, I was just like, oh, is this what this every day is gonna be like this? Holy shit. Like I felt like as if I drank an energy drink. I felt like I had, a couple cups of coffee. Like I really all of a sudden was like, wow, like turbo. Every time I've done it after that, absolutely not. It's not had that effect of, oh my God, here we go. But what it does do, which I've kind of almost now become addicted to, is the focus it gives me.
Okay.
So, which is really strange because for me, because it absolutely does for me focus on what it is I'm trying to pay attention to. So, I just did a long drive a couple weeks ago, like a 14-hour drive. And I shit you not, everyone can contest to this. When you're driving from A to B, sometimes more than 10 minutes, sometimes you're in the drive, whether it's on a highway or not, and you're just like, oh, fuck, I'm already here. Like, you were paying attention, but you totally don't remember the past little bit that you were driving. So 14-hour drive, I would take a piece of gum and I would zone in 10 and 2. And I would be complete all three of my mirrors, really focused. And it would last for about an hour and a bit. And then I would wait 30 minutes once I noticed that I was kind of just kind of, how you are when you drive long drives, you kind of you're paying attention, but you're kind of you're drifting, pop another one. And it got me through my drive so much quicker. And I read every day. Right. Like I have a new discipline that I've talked about on here a long time ago. I'm at about between 20 and 40 pages a day now. It's really getting better. And I think part of it is because the benefits I know I'm getting from reading, which is just teaching myself things, vocabulary as one. This book right here, I've talked about a bunch, The Drama-Free Way by Jennifer Alley, who's been a guest on here a bunch of times. I mean, I zipped through that book like so fast. It's just crazy. But what I do is I notice that when I sit down, I don't go to the gum first. What I do is I just go through my day. I don't even, it's not instead of coffee first thing in the morning, I have it. No, I just go through my day. When I notice that I'm becoming sluggish, or if I'm doing an activity
Losing
like
attention.
reading, and I notice that it's taking me, I've got to go back to the top. I'll go to bed middle. When that happens.
Try this gum.
No, I've told a couple people about it. So I have you can get different pack sizes from the company. And it's interesting, the new way of marketing, which is a lot, if you have TikTok, you'll see this. A lot of companies are they're going to run out. They don't always have it in supply. And they don't. You try to get it.
They create a fear,
100%. And even to the point where I think they purposely have it take longer to get to you than that quick Amazon 2-day dropping, because it took I got a new whey protein that took a month to get to me. But on TikTok, everyone's talking about this product. And then I have, my girlfriend's a doctor. So I say, hey, check this out. Is this good for me?
Right.
And she looks at it and says, oh, absolutely. That's a good one for you. Not necessarily, oh, that's a good brand. It's what's in there is good for you.
Right.
But they knew that the Neuro Gum marketing scheme, is the fact that they're always running out, which is brilliant. It's a smart thing because it's the supply and demand. But without a doubt, this particular supplement, this particular gum, it focuses.
I'm gonna have to try it because me, I read too. So I just got a new book called The Pivot Year. I haven't started it yet, and I'm looking forward to get into that. This coming week. I'll probably be crushing it during next week during the events when I'm down in Miami, and just every night go to bed. And I can only get through maybe 10 pages, and I lose that. I start going back to the top, and then I start realizing I'm not retaining this. So I close the book, go to bed or whatever. But I like to read it at the end of the night. But maybe something like that could get me through, get a little more reading done. Cause sometimes I will lay there for another 20, 30 minutes, not reading. I'm just not focused anymore.
Right.
And I want to do something with my time. There's no TV in my bedroom. There's only one downstairs, and I don't have that distraction of a TV or something to put on. Sometimes I put on music, and I just sit there and maybe I drift off that way. But
it's funny. I have a TV in my room. It never gets turned on.
Yeah, it's worthless.
I just like, I don't know. Like I used to turn it on to have noise. So I'd put on like a show I don't care about watching to fall asleep. But I'm back into the habit of no noise when I fall asleep. I also have so many practices now that by the time I get into bed, I'm pretty much, I call my girlfriend because she's on the other side of the world for a quick, hey, I'm going to bed kind of conversation. And then I have a couple of affirmations.
What, 8 hour difference?
12
hour.
Yeah, Thailand. So it's exactly 12 hours ahead. Yeah, we talk like 4 or 5 times a day. So on the topic of supplements and better health, as I said off camera, I've noticed that you have slendered down over, because we see each other once every so many months when I'm back in town and we get to sit down and record.
About 4 months.
So over the past year, totally, you're saying you have dropped in weight by how much?
About 2 pounds a month. So last year I was, I think, 28, 30 pounds total. So it averaged out to about 2 pounds a month. And I think there's probably a couple months where you get a little bit more. There's a couple months where, maybe it's a pound that month because of what you're eating and, what you're doing.
So explain to us then, how was it? First off, why? Why did you choose to? And then how is it that you're able to continuously, now I know you're going to get to a certain weight that's all you want to lose and then gain muscle, but what was the initiating factors to losing this amount of weight? And then how is it that you're able to maintain a certain amount per month to get rid of?
Well, the reason why I did it, and it's been a long time, there's always been those fad, quick, like try to lose a lot of weight real quick because I'm not happy with how I look or how I feel. Maybe it works, but then you fall off it, right? There was no consistency to it, right? I wanted something that was steady. I knew it was going to be hard for at least 6 months, before you see any type of results, because I didn't want to like change my life so much where now I'm focused on only eating this, right? And not doing that. I want to say, hey, I'm in my 50s. I want to enjoy my life. I want to lean out. I want to be healthier. I want all my vital organs working well. So I'm always getting blood work, do it 3 times a year. I actually have an appointment in 2 weeks. For the first one of this year. I'll do another one in probably June, July, and I'll do another one in the fall, right? And just making sure everything's going the way I want it to. One of the things I noticed is that my weight, as you gain weight, the diabetes becomes a potential problem. And I was never diabetic, but I hit a point, I was 268 at my highest weight. I'm down in the 240s range right now because I had lost a little weight prior to last year too. But last year I wanted something consistent where I didn't have to stress over certain meal plannings. Being on the road, as you know, you don't have the comfort of your home and correct shopping and what you want. You're on the road, you have a small refrigerator in your room. Maybe you can get to a grocery store and get a few things for your room, but you can't cook. There's no ovens in your room. So you end up eating out a lot and all that sort of stuff. So, and actually my colleague, who's another chef, we do a very similar process. We didn't talk about it either. We just both kind of started. He's 2 years older than me, and we were on a trip together doing an event. And he's like, I'm going to hit grocery store and grab some stuff from my room. I'm like, that's exactly what I was going to do later tonight, as well. But even just getting some deli meats and some simple things and just some fresh vegetables. So you're not going down and grabbing the big burger or, sometimes you get a salad or whatever. But when you're in a restaurant, you order the stuff that's not as good for you. And I just started being in my room more, if I'm on a 5-day event, I might eat out once. The rest of the time I have oatmeal. I have a little teapot. I can brew my water. I have a little oatmeal in the morning if I want that. I always have fresh berries. Simple things to just kind of get my like the sugars in the morning, get that kicked up.
And the oatmeal is a good thing because it fills you longer.
It fills you longer. It converts into the sugars slower. So as you're getting into your afternoon, it's still kicking. The fruits and stuff, that's a quick spike of sugar and then it crashes off. But you're not eating a lot like coffee. You're not going to go into that sluggish mode. And I just started like focusing on, like obviously cleaner meats, I mean, I love my beef. I love my proteins. I don't eat seafood. I love my chicken and stuff like that. But what we're buying nowadays also has a lot of stuff in them, and it's destroying the meat. So just try to focus on what's the better product. If I can't find it, then I go to something else. But, for me, my parents have aged. Health is always a concern as you get older. And at 50, I'm over halfway through my life. If I live to 80, I'm 60% through my life. So I only got 40% left. Maybe I live to 90, who knows? But, what am I doing at this point? Because obviously when you're younger, 20, 30, you don't know this stuff. You just abuse your body.
Yeah, you're not thinking about the fact that eating a loaf of white bread with butter is a big deal.
Exactly, yeah. And the drinking and all that stuff that goes along with that as you're becoming an adult, right? Or into your adulthood. And, for me, it was more of just, the motivation was I want to feel better. I want to be more alert, more involved with things. I wanted to be stronger. I didn't, and the other thing that goes, I didn't like how I looked in the mirror, right? It's one thing to put on clothes and be like, I look pretty good. When you take off your clothes and you're getting ready for a shower and you're looking at your body, which everybody does, male, female,
100%.
You judge yourself. Now you could have somebody else looking at you, naked, and they could be like, dude, I think you're hot. You're awesome. This and that. I love everything about you. But if you don't feel good, you can't reciprocate that onto them, right? If I'm, what's the word I'm looking for here? If I'm not happy with myself, because we're all going to self-judge, right? You're a little more timid of being that person that you want to be because you're worried about what you actually are, even though they don't care,
If you don't love yourself, it's very hard to love other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It starts, and it's a fact, you hear it in slogans and all this sort of stuff. It's everywhere on social media. You got to love yourself first. It's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you got nothing.
I mean, listen, I've transformed myself mentally and physically in ways I never thought I would, to the point where I'm very, very fortunate that when I look in the mirror, I do actually enjoy that person that's looking back at me.
Same. Yeah.
I do at the same point of this conversation. I've always talked about it. I've always had an insecurity about my stomach. Not that I care what other people think of me, because their opinion doesn't matter to me. But like you're saying, when I look at me, the stomach is a bother for me, but for two reasons. A, I don't like the way it looks. And for men of a certain age, that's where a lot of the health problems start, is by having a big gut. We all know, or most of us know now through the information that's out there, that an unhealthy gut is a big reason why the mental is unhealthy. And from there, everything just kind of spirals down. So what I've done in the past is I've gone like I don't like meal plans.
I don't
Being at work, on the road, or traveling is difficult to have what you want when you want, or a program of eating. So I lean towards sometimes of not eating as much. My girlfriend gets on me because, she knows everything that I eat. Like, I tell her, like, what's going on. And she wants me to eat more protein, right? Which obviously is what, gains muscle and weight. But then for me, it goes to my gut.
Right.
So I notice that when I eat healthy, meaning no processed foods, right? I'm like not going to McDonald's. I'm grocery shopping and cooking from scratch, right? Staying away from the extra virgin olive oil, whether it's vegetable or if it's beef tallow. Like, there's so many options. But when I eat the amount of food I want to fill my body, the amount of times in a day that one should, with things from scratch. I literally just had this, like, yesterday. I looked in the mirror and I was like, I can see that I've put on more weight, but healthier weight. Like, where it's being distributed is better. Right. So it is absolutely where it's going, or where it's coming from, I should say, and how you're preparing it.
Right.
So for that aspect, the reason why is for yourself.
Absolutely.
And then that's the big thing for longevity of health. And then for the way you feel about yourself when you see yourself. And you're right. Like, I mean, I got a full length mirror in my room, and, big mirror in the bathroom, and the shower, or before getting into bed. I absolutely, like,
you see yourself.
100%. And I'm like, and it's like, am I happy with what I see? And I'm getting even more to the point where it's not just the mental aspect. I like what I see, but I'm really, really enjoying being able to see in the mirror where I'm going.
Right.
And that's a big thing because there's a theory behind it where some people don't even really go hit the gym, but they create muscle. So this is a whole other scientific kind of conversation for another day, but you can actually create those muscles by literally thinking that it's going to happen. Or even if you're not near weights, you can do those exercises and think about the fact that your muscles are growing, and that is a possibility.
Literally this last week, I just started doing more. I wanted some things that were more hotel room oriented. There's always a hotel gym, right? Those gyms can be packed, right? Depending on what you're going there for. There's a lot of people that, they're trying to get their workout in and stuff like that. And a lot of times they don't really have a lot of equipment anyways. So it's not, it's not really, what I want to use. So, but in my room, it's as simple as I travel with just the elastic bands, the straps now.
I got them.
Put them around my knees and do different ones for, just simple bicep curls and stuff like that. And if I wake up in the morning before I take my shower, I put a pair of shorts on, a t-shirt, maybe a light pair of shoes, if I spend 10 or 15 minutes just doing body weight squats, 25 push-ups, maybe a few sit-ups, 25 to 50 sit-ups, little things like that in the course of 10 or 15 minutes, I feel so much better that day, right? And it's not spending an hour in the gym and really getting the muscles expanded and getting the blood flow. It's just enough. And I've been doing enough research realizing that is key, right? If you just do that, and in no way, I am not fat shaming or anybody. If you enjoy those heavy process, if that's what you like in life and that's what you want, go for it, right? That's you. I'm not judging you. But for me, and when I did enjoy McDonald's or a Burger King or a Chick-fil-A or whatever, right? They have a satisfaction to them. But not having them, and I haven't had any of those things in a long time, to be honest with you. And just doing little things that make me feel better. You see, and it's a very slow process, but you see the healthiness. Being healthy is not a disease, right? It's not like some people just are like, oh, you're too healthy or this and that. These super fitness people that you see like, oh, why you do that? They feel good. Mm-hmm. It's an addiction of its own. Some people like their drugs and alcohol, and these people like that, like body pump and that fresh feeling and that energy that
transforms your soul. It transforms your mind. It creates opportunities. The universe changes what it's bringing to you. Like there's no doubt about it. A suggestion for you, and this is funny because my buddy Sparky told me about this thing before I left for the last 5 months. So for $20, I think it was, I bought one of these things that folds up, and it's a rectangle that's kind of rounded, and it has two hand pegs, right? Yeah. The push-up things where it has different colors and stuff. Yeah. So this is what I say about exercise is that all you need to do is 10 minutes of movement a day. We're not saying you have to go hit the gym. We're not fat shaming. We're just saying if you do 10 minutes of movement a day, right, go for a walk, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some band lifts, whatever, just 10 minutes of something a day. In 7 days, I guarantee you're going to feel a little better that you're going to do maybe 15 minutes a day. Right. So my hours were wake up at 4:30 and I basically would work until about 9 o'clock at night. Maybe I get like an hour break in the middle of the day. So instead of taking that hour and going for a nap, I would go back to my room, and I had this little thing that folded out, like little area, didn't need much more than shoulder width, and that's it. Yep. And I would do maybe like 3 of those spots and do 10 to 20 of each one and do 3 reps of each one. And I tell you, I shit you not, the level of cutting that I saw happen over the course of a couple of months, just from doing push-ups. Yep. And it was something that just kind of in my head, I was like looking forward to that break so I could go do 3 sets of 3 different push-up exercises. And it's amazing. It like the strength, the definition of like the lats, and again, it's like a $20 piece of equipment that folds up, has a bag, take it with you. Yep. It's amazing. Yep. Real quick before we wrap up this session. So since you're doing all the supplements and you're trying to eat healthier and you're able to maintain this. So how exactly, because a lot of people, if they're not on Ozempic or one of those particular drugs, a lot of people have a hard time keeping weight off or having that continuous every month kind of pound or so being trimmed off. How are you able to maintain that?
So I'm glad you asked that, because like those, first of all, those Ozempics and things like that, they are a Band-Aid, and people are looking at them as a cure, right? And they're dropping the weight. But if they go off those, I know a few people, that weight's coming on fast, just like any other fad diet, right? So they stay on this drug, and that drug it reduces your bone density, it reduces your muscle mass, and all that sort of stuff. It's specifically for diabetes, and now it's turned into an
end all be all
health loss, type of thing. I see healthy people using this because they want to get ready for a wedding or a vacation or whatever. And then when you're off it, because it is a calorie deficit type of drug,
it stops
right?
your hunger.
Yeah, you're only eating 500, 600 calories a day, depending on the dosage that you're taking, and you're not nourishing your body, right? And I had a friend doing it. I'm like, you got to start drinking a protein drink during the day. You got to get those, what your body needs. That being said, for me, there's two mentalities to this, right? And one of the ones that I started hard last year at the beginning of the year was that when I do the 15-minute or 20-minute, just as simple as that, or if I go to the gym or if I go and do a 5-mile walk, I don't do it and then say, okay, tonight I can have my gluttony, right? I can have my alcohol, I can have my fast food or whatever. I didn't do the workout for that. So that's one set of mind. Some people think, I did this work, now I can enjoy, right? Because it's going to, balance itself. For me, it was more like, I'm doing this work. Why am I going to add that and make it harder for me tomorrow, right? Why don't I just stay on this path? And I can enjoy some of the gluttony every once in a while. If I want to have a cocktail or two with my boss, he always asks me, he's like, are you drinking? And I'll be like, are we celebrating anything? And then sometimes he's like, no, our team's here. It's our family. We're having a good time. No, I'm good tonight. I'm just going to have my Arnold Palmer, little lemonade iced tea type of thing. Sometimes he's like, yeah, we just accomplished this and we're doing that with the company and we're doing this. Pour me a glass of wine, or I'll have a cocktail and enjoy it. Little cheers to the team or whatever. So there's the moments in between, but I go every day saying, if I'm doing this little bit of work, why would I want to offset it with something negative? That's just gonna, like, you're not gonna have that pound or two a month loss if you just keep adding back on what you just tried to, what you're trying to defeat, basically. So, it's all in balance, right? And if I say 2/3 of my year is very clean and very good, and 1/3 of the year I have my moments where I'm just going to enjoy some of life and the people around me and what's going on, I think it's a fair balance for me at my age. Some people want to do it all the way through, some people don't, but there's two mindsets, I think.
So you're basically giving the continuous ability to keep losing the weight to the point where you're at the weight you want is simply your mindset of knowing that I'm putting in the work. So why would I then every single week eat all these things or drink all these things or sit on my ass and do nothing? It's all about that mindset of continuous work. Yeah. Which I totally agree with you, because the work is not only going to the gym, the work is also not eating the things you shouldn't, not drinking the things you shouldn't. Because for me, because there's a McDonald's right across the street, and many times of me living through other people's schedules, have I found myself not eating dinner yet. It's too late. I don't want to cook something. I'm going to walk over there. It's only chicken nuggets. It's only French fries. What's the big deal? Yeah. The big deal is that none of that food over there is good for you, regardless what it is. And I notice, because I have for years dealt with some sort of gut issues, which I'm in the process of finding out. I just literally had my blood test done on the 12th. So I have all of my labs coming back to me to see where my cortisol, my cholesterol, all that sort of stuff. But I know for a fact, because at our age, we know our bodies. I know that if I eat certain things or drink certain things, at the end of the night, what's going on in my stomach is a direct correlation of what it is that I had just eaten. Or it's a correlation of eating processed foods for years. So then I have all those little splits and areas in my stomach lining that's not, it's not doing its job. So I'm coming back full circle to the supplements. I take a healthy gut, I think it's called supplement, 2 pills a day, to help rebuild the good microbes.
Like a probiotic.
Yeah, it's a good microbes in the body. And then I try to eat the good, the kimchi.
I was just going to say, I've gotten into a lot of like fermented foods. I love like sauerkraut, the kimchi, pickled carrots, pickles in general.
Anything pickled.
Yeah, anything pickled. All those things for me are just great gut, health for me. So, I just had big bowl of sauerkraut the other night, you know, with some chicken and stuff. So, and I'm doing my own. You know,
Yeah.
I bought a book on lacto fermentation and, you know, playing with the different recipes. I have some jars of stuff, you know, in my house and doing all that. And then the other thing too is the breads, right? You know, I buy my flour, comes in from Italy. It's a little more expensive, but it's a cleaner flour. It's not sprayed with, you know, the poisons that we use. The germ is not hardened where our bodies can't digest it. That's where a lot of people are like, oh, I'm gluten intolerant. No, you're intolerant to the chemical that's hardened that germ. You know, and
I have literally said it for years. I'm not gluten intolerant.
yeah, I'm not.
I just can't eat the flour here.
Your body can't digest
eat the bread here because I know right away that I physically can't.
Yep.
So as much as I do from time to time, because I love making bread from scratch, but as I'm doing it, I feel bad because if it's not the Italian flour, I'm just like, oh my God, this is not going to be good for me. I can't even like. I made dinner the other night and I made a bunch of rolls. I had half a roll, and that half a roll, when I ate it, instantly made me feel so much fuller than like the chicken that I was eating. It's crazy.
Right.
So great to know that.
I made a focaccia the other day.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Italian flour, yeast, I use beer to activate it. Right. So, but it's going to cook. And the one thing I used was the beef tallow versus the olive oil.
Onto the pan.
And it came, I got pictures, man. This thing bubbled up. And when I baked it, it was just, and it was super soft and fluffy. It was so good. But digestively, like I wanted to keep eating it because I wasn't feeling it just sit in my stomach. Right. You know, from what we would normally feel from a sandwich or something.
And that's better because I will admit that I love bread.
Oh, yeah.
Good bread. I could sit there and just eat bread, or if I had a soup, like dunk.
Yeah.
But I can't here.
You can't
in North America.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Daryl, for sharing with us the supplements, the better eating healthy lifestyle that you're doing. We're going to wrap it up here. Daryl will be back again probably next week or in the next couple weeks. So to everyone out there, thank you very much for keep coming back each and every week. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. here on the Life Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.